What is going on YouTube? Lamont at large. Today we're back once again in Skidmore, Missouri. Got a horrible story to share with you. A young woman got murdered. The details of this story, quite graphic. If you don't like the more graphic videos, if I were you, I would skip this one. I got probably at least 1,000 other videos on YouTube to check out. Without further ado, let's get right into it. We're gonna go back to December of 2004. You have 23-year-old Bobby Jo Stinnett. At this time, she's about 8 months pregnant or so, maybe a little bit further along. On December 16th, 2004, Bobby Jo's mother stops by the home where her daughter lives, either to just check on her or just to stop by and say hello. When she opens the door, she sees the most terrible sight right in front of her eyes she's ever seen in her life. Her daughter is on the ground, absolutely covered in blood. You're supposed to be looking at your daughter and her pregnant belly, but instead of seeing that, she sees what I would describe to you as a cavity. It looked like her stomach exploded, and there is blood everywhere, and she's not moving. Immediately, she calls 911. And of course, Skidmore is a very rural area. I do not know how long it took for the paramedics to arrive. They strap her down to the gurney and they rush her to St. Francis Hospital in Marysville, where she would soon be pronounced dead. Somebody had came to the home, attacked her, strangled her, and cut her unborn baby out of her stomach. Now, Skidmore is known, of course, for the McElroy story, where the town basically killed a man who lived in this area who was a horrible, horrible human being. But other than that, and a disappearance that I will be covering in a future video, not much occurs in Skidmore. I don't even think 300 people live in that town. I mean, there's nothing here. So a murder is not going to be something that the town is really used to. I mean, any town that is that small, no town is going to be used to a murder occurring, especially one where an unborn baby is ripped out of the abdomen of the expected mother. So immediately, detectives from the surrounding areas, they descend on Skidmore and they start interviewing everybody. They start interviewing everybody and anybody, the mother, the family, the friends, the neighbors. And there's a whirlwind of information. Now, immediately the police seize Bobby Jo's computer and they take it back to the police lab to do some kind of a forensics analysis of the computer. So they start looking at all of her emails, her chat logs. They're looking for people that knew her, that may not have liked her, that had a bone to pick with her, so forth and so on. So they start seeing on one of these chat boards that somebody under the name of Darlene Fisher was corresponding with Bobby Jo about possibly purchasing a dog from her. Using the IP address from that computer, they find an address of a woman by the name of Lisa Montgomery that lived on a small farmhouse in Melbourne, Kansas. So they go down to the farmhouse. Now, these guys are just going down to talk to a potential witness. Maybe she's seen the murderer. They don't know what to expect. This woman doesn't have a criminal record. She didn't come up in their system, and neither did her husband. So they go down there and talk to her, and before they even enter the home, they see the car that the neighbors described that was parked out in front of the home the day of the murder, parked out in front of the home. Okay, so now we got something. Now, maybe it's a similar car. We don't know yet. So they go inside and they see Lisa Montgomery sitting in the chair in the living room with a newborn baby. Literally a newborn baby. You ever seen babies like when you're at the market and they look too little to be out and about? That's how new this baby looked. So the police, they say, hey, we're, in the process of investigating a murder that took place in Skidmore yesterday. They're looking at this newborn baby with this woman. And they say, oh, is that your baby? She said, yeah, I just had the baby. Oh, okay. When did you have the baby? Oh, yesterday. Oh, okay, yesterday. What hospital did you have it at? Oh, so-and-so hospital. Now, I don't know if her teenage sons, because she had 2 teenage sons and a husband. I don't know if they were there at the time. You have a woman that just got murdered. A newborn baby was ripped out of her stomach. And now they're talking to this woman who's sitting in the living room with a newborn baby, claiming that she just had him. And similar color car, type of car sitting in front of the house. So they start questioning her. Oh, when did you have the baby? What's the baby's name? Who was the delivering doctor? Blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. It didn't take too long for the police to finally get a confession out of her. I think it took an hour. So Lisa Montgomery, she says, oh yeah, I killed her. I strangled this woman and I ripped the baby out of her stomach. So we probably want to know now why she did this. That's when you probably want to hear from other people online, other YouTubers, Facebookers, whatever, about their theories or opinions. I don't know. This woman had her own children. I don't know what possessed this woman to commit this heinous, atrocious crime. Immediately, she was arrested and charged with kidnapping, first-degree murder, and I believe since the crime involved crossing state lines, the FBI got involved and they charged her federally. Now, she went to trial. She was found guilty of the crime. I mean, the evidence is she was holding it. And she was sentenced to die via lethal injection. And I think she was on death row for, I'm going to guess, about 14 years. And sometime, I believe it was January 13th or so, somewhere around there, 2021, she was executed for Bobby Joe's murder. Now, at the time, President Donald Trump, the president can commute anybody's sentence. And of course, he chose not to. So 3 or 4 federal death row inmates were all executed, I want to say within 3 or 4 months. Don't quote me. And let me say this before we visit her grave. This woman, Lisa Montgomery, I'm not defending anybody who committed this atrocious, unspeakable act. But if you look back in her history and her growing up, I'll just say this. Me reading about her childhood sends me shivers down my spine. This woman, any which way you can think that a woman, that a teenage girl, that a small girl, that a little child, whichever way they could be abused, was done to her. I'm not excusing the act. I'm not excusing the murder, so let's not get it twisted. That's not what I'm saying. But good Lord, I mean, she was put through the ringer 25-fold. But all because you are abused in your life does not mean that you take this abuse out on others. Okay, so this is the final resting place of Bobby Joe Stinnett. Very, very horrible crime. All right, guys. Just a quick video. Stop by and visit the grave. This was a horrible, horrible crime. And it was done by a person, a horrible person who had horrible things done upon them, doing horrible things to others. And the baby did survive. The baby was returned to the father, and I'm assuming the baby is now a young adult and is probably living somewhere in the area. All right, guys, I'm hitting the road. I'll see you on the next video. Peace out.